Yeah.
Thank you. And again, there's just one other item I want to raise before we go into tonight's meeting, and that was, unfortunately, one of our members has resigned, Councillor Anne Brown, and I would just like to put on record personal thanks for all the work that Councillor Brown did for Whitby Town Council, and how sad we are to see her go, but I wish her all the best in whatever she chooses to becoming more moving forward. So, back to the agenda. Notice of meeting. Public notice of the meeting is given in accordance with Schedule 12, paragraph 10(2) of the Local Government Act 1972. Agenda item number 1, apologies for absence. Have anyone?
We have apologies from Councillors Wall and for personal reasons.
Thank you. Can we accept those apologies? Anyone move that? Councillor Howell, Councillor Blackwell seconding. All in favour? Thank you, that's unanimous. Agenda item number 2, declaration of interest and request for dispensation. To receive declarations of any disposable pecuniary interest and other interest from members in relation to any item on the agenda and to consider any request for dispensation. Do we have any such requests, members? No declarations. Thank you. Agenda item number 3, public participation. Standing orders will be suspended for up to 15 minutes to allow questions or statements about business items on the agenda, submitted by members of the public, and that will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Do we have any questions? Quite a few. I'm going to go to Ian.
Usual suspect.
Could you just state your name, please, Ian?
Ian Dixon, usual suspect. You all know, most of you know me by the reputation and salaries.
You're always welcome, Ian.
Yeah, a few points actually. 1 or 2 people asked me to bring stuff up if I'm going to come up, because a lot of people will come. As the toilets debacle, what's happened with that? Has it been swept under the carpet for money, or what's happened with that? Pedestrianisation of the town centre. I know that was part of that 2.1 million project. That's another road going around town, and there's some mad idea about having e-scooters like having big cities in a crowded town. Third thing, what's happening with the maritime? Oh, I nearly said hotel then, because that's another rumour. And we must ask this one. People, cemetery. Okay?
Thank you, Ian. All your points are noted.
Yeah, thanks, Sandra.
I can assure you that nothing is swept under the carpet with this council. And there are a lot of things going about in the press at the moment that are not factual information. It's quite incorrect. So there will be further reports coming through this council that addresses all the points that you've raised there. Moving on, I'm not quite sure if it was Joyce or John that was... Joyce, would you like to come to the mic, and if you could give your name and... I was going to say name and address then. Just your name, please, and follow on.
Joyce Stango, thank you. I've noticed we've got precept, etc. on the agenda today. Can I ask the usual question I ask every year? Do we have a date for a town assembly when the general public will get to hear what's going on? And will this year we have a proper town council report and perhaps a town plan moving forward? Thank you. That's the main one. Secondly, I am quite upset to note that North Yorkshire Council have not managed to respond to the neighbourhood plan within the 2 months, and we cannot move on until we get a response. I would have liked to ask both our North Yorkshire councillors if they could take this up, and certainly Whitby Town Council, if we could get a response from them as soon as possible, so it allows us to move on with the neighbourhood plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Those points are noted. And John, if you would like to come to the mic.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. John Knock, former councillor. I have a few questions, Madam Mayor, to put directly to our county councillors. And there is, if you forgive me, a clear background involved in this. The first 4 questions concern the upper footpath on the cliff slope. Now I've got to get it there. The upper footpath on the cliff slope leading eastwards from the ravine towards that point where it meets the northern perimeter of the golf course. Now I just point out that this particular piece of the coast lies east-west. So when you stand looking out at the sea, you're actually facing north, not east. This is the point at which the chain link fence starts, about 200 yards from the ravine itself. Significant groundworks have been done and done very badly. Big chunks of the cliff slope have been excavated in a very untidy manner, leaving it ugly. And the public footpath is strewn with clay debris which forms into dangerous muddy glue when it rains, which it has recently. Rumour has it that this work has been done by the golf club to make easier access and egress at the 7th. It is also rumoured to have been done by NYC at the behest of the golf club for the same reason. However, the strongest rumour is that this unsightly mess is created by Yorkshire Water, seeking to reinstate drains in that area, and more seriously, that it is connected to the pumping of raw sewage into the sea to the west of Sand's End. If the latter is the case, and as I say, it is no more than a rumour, it may be connected to the recent flow of raw sewage down Valley Road, where work has been going on in recent days. Indeed, Yorkshire Water have been very active in and about town for the last couple of weeks. And I do recall, Madam Mayor, that in 2016, when applications to build several hundred houses were coming into the planning committee, warnings were given that the existing sewers were inadequate to cope with the increased usage that would result from all these houses. So the questions are, who is doing the work and who is paying for it? If planning consent was required, has it been sought and has it been granted? Will the area be properly landscaped and when? And will the contractor please tidy the public footpath immediately to make it safe for pedestrians? May I now refer to matters that I have put to our county councils before I resigned from the council last July. For at least the last 2 years I have complained about the growth of weeds, grass and herbage in the gutters all around Whitby. I have asked that on at least 2 occasions for NYC to attend to its assets on the Fish Quay. Some of the dam pipes have rotted through at the bottom and the drains beneath them have become blocked. Rainwater spreads out over the pavement and makes the place look neglected, to say the least. Just before I resigned, I asked our county councillors to get the lights around the Whalebones and Captain Cook statue working. This neglect makes our town look less like Whitby and more like Stratterby. Madam Mayor, none of these matters have been attended to, and I have heard no comment about them in their sometimes lugubrious lamprophony. County councillors receive a taxable allowance in excess of £17,000. This is so that they may properly deal with their division workload. Quite frankly, the evidence to date is that they are so busy being director of this, governor of that, trustee of the other, that they don't have time, or possibly even the inclination, to do the job that they were elected to do. Will they please now decide between them who will address what, and then do it? I suggest that as these matters are of fairly wide public interest, they let the Mayor and the Clerk, as well as me, know what they have done and when a satisfactory outcome may be expected. They do both have my private email, Madam Mayor. It's only Tuesday now, and a reply by close of business on Friday should be achievable, given that for some of these questions I've had a couple of years to look at them. Our county councillors receive a lot of taxpayers' money. Would they please earn it? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, John. Your points have been noted and I'm sure in the relevant areas it will be followed up. Thank you. Any further questions or comments from the members of the public? Thank you.
the minutes for Thursday the 8th of January. Item 309/26, whereby Councillor Riddles and Lehman were made to stop talking. We were not disruptive at that meeting.
Councillor, that was the vote taken on the evening, and it's
Well-
noted in the minutes what happened.
Well, no, the minutes are wrong. It says we were disruptive at that meeting. That's not right. The reason given was that we are disruptive every single council meeting, toxic in emails and constantly holding
Councillor
proceedings.
Lehman, I'm going to stop you there because it doesn't actually say what you said. It says that you are no longer be heard due to the behaviour of obstructing the business of the meeting.
That is incorrect. I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, that is incorrect. The actual reason given was that we were disruptive every single council meeting, toxic in emails and constantly holding proceedings.
That's noted, Councillor Lehman. Councillor Riddles.
Finance 309/26, it says that Danco say all the toilets were working.
I'm going to just stop 1 minute. Could you speak into the mic? 'Cause I'm very conscious people can't hear. Thank you, Councillor Riddles. If you could start that again to ensure everyone can hear.
Finance 309/26, it states that Danco say that all the toilets are currently working. This is not correct. The West Cliff disabled toilets hasn't been operational for 4 to 5 months.
Councillor Riddles, I'm taking on board what you're saying, but we're actually looking at the accuracy of the minutes at this moment.
Well, they're not. They're saying that they were working. I'm saying they're not working.
As the clerk's pointing out to me, it's not regarding what Danko was saying, this is whether it was an accurate report of the meeting that we're now looking at, the minutes of that report, of that meeting. Any other points, members? Would someone like to move that we accept those with the noted comments? Councillor Hall, do I have a seconder? Councillor Heron, all in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Moving on to 4B, the Full Council, Tuesday the 20th of January 2026, with those minutes. Any comments, members? Can I have someone to move them? If there are no comments to be made? Councillor Coughlin, are you questioning move them? A seconder? Councillor Blackwell, all in favour? Any against? And any abstentions? Thank you, members. Right, we move on to agenda item number 5, the budget increase requirement. So 5 years to consider and determine a final budget for 26-27. Now, we have had this before us about 3 times, members, so hopefully we've gone through this very, very thoroughly, and I will open it up to any questions or to the clerk if you wish to speak to it first.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I don't intend to say a lot on this because I suspect there's probably questions that I can answer as we go along. Just to say that in the time since the last council meeting, reflecting on the feedback from members that was received at that meeting, prior to the meeting and subsequently, I've tried to incorporate much of that feedback and some of those concerns. There haven't been tremendous changes, but some of those points have been managed to be incorporated. As I did say to those members at the time, there has been a corresponding effect on the potential precept increases, which is why we now have 3 slightly different options compared to the previous draft budget. I would stress, although there's a recommended precept increase in there, that is the one that balances the budget without drawing on reserves. You'll note on the final page of the budget the bottom line with three different options. Option A and option B would require use of reserves to balance the budget. Option C makes a nominal contribution of £5 at the end of the year. So there is nothing foregone conclusions. I am not wedded to any particular increase. This is your budget, members, this is your precept effectively. I have just given you some options that have tried to incorporate some of the feedback. And I've tried to represent at the time we've had the local clerk spreadsheet and her form of presentation. I appreciate it's still not perfect, but at the time we had, it was unfortunately the best I've been able to do. But I'm happy to take any questions as we go along.
Thank you, Ryan. Any questions, members? Councillor Riddles?
Just concern, I know
Again,
it's not,
Councillor Riddles, I know I'm going to
Sorry, I get there and there.
Thank you.
I know it's not technically the budget, but it is mentioned in here that the VAT refund was up to, by the end of the year, 58,000. That equates to £290,000 worth of invoices. Can we have a few clues where all this money suddenly arrived from? Because it's a lot of money to do for even 1 year, £290,000 of invoices. We certainly haven't had that amount of invoices during the year.
Through that's the estimate based on the financial system. So £38,000 has already been reclaimed in the financial year already. Based on the time period we have to go, based on the expenditure that's listed within the EDGE financial system, the approximate estimate is there's around £20,000 more VAT to be reclaimed.
And that's all for this year.
Yes.
Not going back previous years. But I can't see we haven't got that amount of invoices, so it must be something else that's arisen to claim extra VAT back.
No, because you haven't got budget monitoring documents. This is draft budget for the coming year. And as I pointed out last meeting, what you have not had over this financial year, due to the chaos, frankly, that has occurred in this council, is ongoing budget monitoring. I can't present you with that this evening, Councillor. If you'd like to come in, I can show you the cash book.
Okay, thank you.
And the returns.
I think that's a very fair point, Ryan. We have gone through a really difficult period of time without a town plan, and I think that these are the consequences of it. And in the short time Ryan's been in the office working with the local man, I'd like to say thank you for the work that we have got and the budget that we've got before us. Any further comments or questions, members? Councillor Rafford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My questions are just clarifications, basically. On the first sheet, I'm going down the first sheet, the cost of allotment, you've got down £4,000. Is that the cost for the year? Is it a break-even cost, or are we still undercharging, if that's the word to use, for the allotment? The second question was, we've got down 60% of admission income from liquid film. Does it stay at 60% all the time, or does it fluctuate? Like, if business increases or decreases, it obviously fluctuates downward. We seem to be stuck at 60% all the time. They shouldn't be. And then staff training on the bottom. Is that for, obviously, I don't know what the staff training is, but 1,500 quid. Staff training, is that for the training that the councillors are going to receive a little bit later on regarding the way that councillors are run? Or are we allowed for that in the budget? That's on that one. On the next page, page 13, there was, I've got down Christmas festival at 40,000. Do we usually stay at 40,000, or what does that fluctuate? The next one down is the east side footbridge at £6,000, but I was under the impression that we don't pay that anymore because of the settlement with the harbour. North Yorkshire's responsibility about the footbridge for the health and safety reasons about the extension and the separation from the pier, and it's their responsibility. And he put down £10,000 for contingency for what? Have you got any, I have seen it in the council before, contingency, but it's always a question mark, what's it for? Are you anything, or is it a specific item? That's all I have, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Quite a lot there.
That's okay. Through you, Madam Mayor. So the first question was around allotments. The £2,150 is allotment income. The corresponding expenditure figure is towards the end of the spreadsheet, and there's £10,000 proposed for expenditure. So no, they don't break even.
So we're still short, obviously we're not breaking even, so therefore we're subsidising the allotments.
Yes, most allotments are effectively subsidised by the council. Very few councils, you can't make a profit, very few councils tend to break even. It's a good aim if you can, but in this case obviously that's not been happening. So I can't factor into a budget an allotment rent review. That will need to be a policy decision that comes through council at a separate time, that's then incorporated into future years' budgets. The second question was around 60% from the lit and fill. You've got the figure changes of potential income, but it's always 60%. So the percentage won't change. It will be 60% of whatever their income is. So some years it may be more, some years it may be less, but the percentage won't change. You've asked about staff training. No, that's very explicitly for staff training. If you look about 6 or 7 lines down the separate budget for councillor training, it's in there. The East Pier footbridge, as far as I know, we are still responsible for making that contribution. I haven't seen anything from North Yorkshire Council that has indicated otherwise, and therefore that's been rolled ahead in this budget.
Does it mean a motion going to the council to check on that, or no? Are we just letting it go? So we have to pay it?
We're responsible for paying it. And finally, contingencies, it's not 10,000, it's 5,000 in the budget figures. That it was a 10,000 proposal from the local clerk and RFO. I've reduced that to 5,000. Contingencies is really what it says on the tin. It's for contingencies. That can be anything that requires a contingency.
Thank you, Ryan. Councillor Lynn.
Thank you very much. First up, the bridge, there was a motion, I believe it was in June. If I remember correctly, it was raised by Councillor Dalrymple, seconded by Councillor Knock.
Could I just say, Councillor Lynn, I'm not
to
over speaking you, but this has been looked into. This isn't really the forum for that discussion. Clearly. However, I will just bring it up that this has been looked at in depth, and North Yorkshire Council, and I will stand correctly, but I'm absolutely sure they have said no, it still has to be paid by the Town Council.
I mean, members, it's up to you. If you don't want to put the money in the budget, and then we get a bill, I will ask you where you want to pay from. If you want to leave it in the budget, and we're not responsible, that's great, we've got £6,000 to spend something else.
Sorry, I understood what you were saying, that we hadn't approached NYC, there's been no motion to approach NYC. There had been a motion.
We have.
That's right, I will ask if there needs to be a motion. That's what I said,
Okay, that's the budget. I see the salary was increased by 3%. Is there adequate provision for incremental increases as well as impossible pay?
Yes.
sufficient allowance for the necessary repairs and improvements? We have £40,000 set aside. Are you happy that that is sufficient?
Through you, Madam Mayor, until we have costed quotations, it's very difficult for me to say exactly how much needs to be spent on those toilets. This was the figure put forward by the local clerk. As I discussed with you and some colleagues when you came in, there is an option effectively to phase repairs renewals over a number of years, in which case £40,000 would be a good start. There is also an option to take a public works loan, for example, to borrow, figure out within our £100,000, which I understand has been suggested by the working group. The repayments for a loan of that magnitude would be covered by a budget allocation of £40,000. So either way, there is capacity within the budget allocated here to do something to the toilets this year. It's either part of it or it's all of it, but there is money there.
I'll just ask confirmation. Thank you.
Moving on, Councillor Steve Smith.
So just to go back to the bridge.
Can you use them on the line, please?
Just to go, just to go up to the bridge. My understanding is when it was first proposed, the council agreed to pay £120,000 to Scarborough, the North Yorkshire Council, and that was to be done on for £6,000 over 20 years. So
And they're adhering to that agreement,
yes,
as far as I understand, Councillor Smith. Any further questions on budget members? Councillor Mackey.
Yes. With regards to the Christmas festival income, is the grant money, the S106 money, is that absolutely guaranteed for this coming year, or may it may not happen?
How long's a piece of string?
So it's not an absolute guarantee.
That meeting's got to take place yet, but obviously the request will be going in for that.
Thank you. The other factor is going back to the Litton Field contribution. The Litton Field contribution, I believe, comes from the High Court judgment that says that we may claim for any maintenance of the building, upkeep of the building, up to 60% of the revenue. I've calculated out maintenance for this year that we're forecasting, and it comes to £75,000. But the Litton Field are only responsible, well in my day, but previously on council it was calculated out that they're responsible for half of that. What's the rest of the money going towards? Is it ongoing repairs that we're saving for, or where's the rest of that money going from that we're taking from Litton Field?
Thank you, Councillor.
Sorry, I've not quite understood the totality of the question. Are you trying, you're tracking the income versus what you think is budgeted expenditure in this budget?
Yes.
I don't think it quite works exactly like that.
Okay,
So the income will always be what it is. It will be 60% of the totality.
No, the income according to the High Court judgment. The High Court judgment says that we may claim from, we present a bill to them, it actually says we present a bill to them for the sum total of the maintenance that they then pay back to us, and we may claim up to 60% from their income.
But so in subsequent agreements separate from High Court judgment, and that's why there's other elements in here. So at the time of the High Court agreement, there weren't a lot of modern facilities, for example, and modern expenditure that we would look at nowadays. That's why there have been subsequent matters agreed directly with the Litton Field. I can try.
On the website?
They're not going to be on the website. Okay. They're business agreements, effectively, between two organisations, so they're not going to be public documents, if indeed they exist in document form.
Okay, right, thank you.
But this is based on what has been happening. So this is not me making this up, effectively. This is what has happened over a number of years, and this is a model based on the income that's been received and the way the expenditure is accounted for. there are significant costs associated with this building. There are significant costs that come associated with this building, very significant costs.
Any other questions, members? No? Well, you've got the budget before you.
I would propose that we go for options.
What
Sorry,
are you thinking ahead when we're looking at the preset, Councillor? At the moment, I'm looking at 5H, considering the term of the final budget.
yeah,
So,
sorry.
are we happy with the final budget, and then we will move on to determine the preset we want to attach to that budget? So, are members happy with the budget? If so, can I have someone to propose? Right, Branch has pointed out to me that the recommendation, and there have members seen all the 4 recommendations.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do I have someone who will move those recommendations? Councillor Lehman? Seconder? Councillor Amanda Smith? All in favour? Councillor Abbott? Sorry, I was just checking whether you were in favour or
No, I did trying to. Yeah, I'm all right.
all in favour. That was unanimous, I believe. Yeah. Thank you, members. Moving on to 5B, this is now to consider and determine the preset requirement for 26-27 for signature to North Lodge Council. So you will see the examples before you, and again, I will hand over to Ryan for any questions on this.
Yes, apologies members for the slight confusion there, that it is effectively 2 separate decisions. That's the way, that is the way the auditors like to see it done, that you have considered the budget, and then effectively the precept is the difference between your budget figures. So having now set the budget, you almost infer what your precept decision will be, but it is a separate decision. So again, within the report, there are 4 recommendations set out on page 15. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
Madam Chair, I would propose that the Council accepts the recommendations 1 to 4 as listed on page 15.
Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Hallam? All in favour?
Sorry,
Which one was this? I haven't called up yet.
We're looking at
page 15,
page 15,
recommendations.
the recommendations. Councillor Herron, do you want
I'm going to speak against that. I'm very much against point 4.
Can you use the microphone, please?
I'm very much against point 4. I don't believe that the increase should be 8.52%. I believe it should be kept below 5%. And I personally would rather go for the option B, which is 4.99%, as we did last year. Because we have to remember, we're asking the people of Whitby to pay additional money to essentially support toilets. So I think we really need to think about that. Thank you.
Members, I had it moved by Councillor Dalrymple that we accept all points 1 to 1. I don't believe we've got a second now. You seconded it, Councillor Lehman. So are you putting in an amendment to that motion?
Yes.
Do I have a seconder on that amendment? Councillor Blackwell. So the amendment becomes the first vote, so I'm going to go to the vote on that. Are all members clear on what you're voting on firstly?
Tell us again, please, Madam Mayor.
Councillor O'Heron, would you like to speak to your amendment to the motion that we're going to vote on?
So my proposal is that we accept points 1, 2 and 3, but point 4 we look at option B as opposed to option C. Thank you.
So, Councillor, if you wish to amend the recommendations on page 15, you have to amend points 2, 3 and 4.
2, 3 and 4.
And I just wanted to check, I'm sure you are, that members understand that in going for that option, that would require the use of £14,200 worth of council reserves, as shown in the budget figures, to balance the budget.
I think as we're spending a much higher, sorry, I should have gone to I think as we're spending a much higher amount on the toilets this year, I think we can make the exception and dip into the reserves. The reserves are currently looking very healthy. The reserves are supposed to be approximately 90,000, and we're ahead of that.
And then it's very clear on the amendment. Councillor Schultz, do you want to come in on that? I want to make sure everyone's clear. This is a really important vote that we're doing at this moment, so I want to make sure you're all fully understanding what's being proposed.
It's my belief that the toilets are ring-fenced procedures and policies, therefore we couldn't use any of that money on anything else but the toilets.
No, we don't have they're not ring-fenced, Councillor.
If you look at policies and procedures, they are medium-term ring-fenced. It says so.
I'm looking at you because I believe they are.
I'm not sure what the council is referring to, so there is no earmark reserve that the council has approved to set money aside for toilets, repairs and renewals. If you're referring to income or surplus, they don't make a surplus effectively, so there isn't any surplus income to ring-fence. I'm just not sure what the reserve is, council, you're referring to.
My point being that Elizabeth said that we could use money from the toilets. I'm saying we can't. I thought, what did that mean say?
I said move money from the reserves.
Oh, reserves, sorry.
Reserves, not
My
toilets.
apologies. Right, reserves.
Any further comments before we go to the vote on the amendment, which is suggesting that it's a lower preset, so therefore we will have to use the reserves council to balance this budget. And then it's sure on this. Yeah? Right, councillors, and I'm just saying, I'll let you go because it is important.
Are we 100% certain that the reserves that we are predicting are actually going to be approximately correct?
It's the best guess. I'm going to say it. It's the best guesstimate, isn't it?
Yeah, I can appreciate that. My concern is it a best guesstimate within sort of £10,000 or £20,000?
Or you that having playing the stock market?
There's no way of telling.
It's a good question. You use the right word yourself, though, approximate. At this moment in the financial year, we can do a best estimate, which is what we've done. We've forecast the likely expenditure to come from the end of the year. That gives us the approximate figure we have there in front of you. That could vary. We could get an audit bill, for example, that suddenly lands that reduces that by £20,000. we know we've got 2 outstanding audit bills to come. One is not likely to come anytime soon, one could possibly land. Again, I've tried to work that out the best I can, and I've phased it into the next year rather than this year. If it comes, that will affect the reserves. Generally, what I would say on reserves is, this time last year, this council was in a shocking state with its reserves. Due to the events of this last year, the position is slightly healthier. I would not recommend as your RFO that you draw down any reserves in the coming year to balance your budget. And the precept has already been kept artificially low for many, many years. Many things have been cut out of the budget over the years that frankly have to go back in for this council to be operating as a professional organisation. There is a lot of expenditure, there is a lot of maintenance, there are a lot of surprises, frankly, coming down the track, and I would not advocate to you as your RFO that it would be responsible to continue to artificially limit precept rises. The difference, and precept's a decision for members, and it's a political decision with a small p. I would say the difference between the 2 options on the table being discussed are 7 pence a week and 11 pence per week. But it will make a world of difference to the ability of this council to weather any of those shocks and surprises that we sort of know are coming, so they're not that much of a surprise, and deliver what we need to do. I think I've probably said too much, so I'll stop there.
I think we need to face reality, and Ryan has said it in the nutshell, quite frankly, that for many years we have tried to keep everything as low as we can. Certainly, I've never been in favour of asking the public to put too much into this budget, but you know, there comes a time where every business effectively has got to run financially stable, and there are big issues coming forward. So, but again, it's up to members. We've got the amendment on the floor. I'm going to go to the vote. The amendment is, you're all clear on the amendment, yes? It would mean we would have to go into the reserves. But I'm going to the vote. All in favour of the amendment? The amendment's clearly failed, so I'm going to go back to the original proposal. We had a mover to accept all 4 points. Do I have a second? Sorry, apologies, Councillor Lane did second that. So I'll go to the vote again on that. All in favour of the motion to accept all 4 points in agenda item 5B that's been read. That's... Thank you. Any against? I believe that probably that we're going to abstentions. So it's all thank you, members. So we now move on to agenda item number 6, which is banking arrangements. I could group this out with you, absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't say again too much on this report because I've given you a comprehensive report setting out the rationale for some of this. The apologies on 6A first time. So it's purely the mandate change first. I need to be added to the bank mandate so that I can make payments. Effectively, it's as simple as that. So I'm asking you to approve the addition of myself to the mandate for now, and then subsequent to what council decides on the next item, we may well be looking at all the mandates for a new bank anyway. If not, then the current mandates will be being reviewed and brought back to council for updating.
So with that in mind, members, can I have someone to move that? Councillor Levy moving? Yes. A seconder? Councillor Howell, all in favour? That's a unanimous vote. Thank you.
Can I just ask questions as well? Who's on the mandate at the moment for the banking?
Well, we've gone to the vote on it, Councillor McKenna, and the clerk did say we would be looking at that in the future. At this moment in time, that proposal was to get Ryan onto that banking mandate so we can continue with business. So moving on to 6D. It will be coming back, so you'll get plenty of opportunity then, 6D. And again, I'm going to refer to Ryan to speak to this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I started to say, I Parking RFO here and noting the banking with Barclays immediately rang an alarm in my head. Not because I'm casting any aspersions on Barclays, but I have known other parish councils and other community groups elsewhere who have suddenly found their account closed, and in one parish council's case, a cheque sent to them for the balance, which they couldn't deposit anywhere else because they didn't have a bank account anywhere else. I'm not suggesting that would happen with Whitby. We obviously are a larger council, but Barclays have been known in recent years to be withdrawing from this type of service. They also don't offer specific specialist town and parish council banking facilities, whereas Unity Trust Bank does. Unity Trust Bank, as I explained in the report, also provides much better online environment for the dual authorisations that are necessary, the audit trail of who's authorised, what time, when, who set up payments. It also gives access to, so me for example, if we were to move to them, to be added to the account to set up payments but not authorise them. So there should be this segregation of duties. In an ideal world, no staff, no officers would be making payments. We would be setting them up and then we would be authorising them. That is an easier process. It can be done with Barclays, but it's an easier process with banks like Unity Trust Bank. I've banked with Unity with my last council, and they are incredible. They are very easy. They're very supportive. You pick up the phone and actually speak to someone who understands what a council is and how it operates, which is a good start. I understand the historic arrangements with Barclays were because they were in the town. Now that they've withdrawn, there isn't much sense from an RFO perspective in staying with a high street bank that is not set up for local councils.
So, with that in mind, Councillor Hanston?
I just want to comment, I support this fully. I'm a treasurer of a body and also a trustee of another body. And both of them, we've had our feet whipped out from under us by Barclays, changing their business model not to support our sort of organisations. So without casting aspersions on Barclays, I fully support to move our business away from them.
Makes sense. And I can concur with that with my other hat on as a trustee. So, members, I'm looking at that. So, 6B, do I have someone who's prepared to? Councillor Lady, you've got your hand up first. Councillor McLaren, all in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, members. Moving on to agenda item number 7, the appointment of an internal auditor. And that was to consider quotations received and to approve the appointment of an internal auditor to undertake the council's internal audit for 25-26 financial year. You all got the confidential papers to support this agenda item, members. So it really is a question of deciding which one we wish to go to, isn't it, right? So do I have any comments? Councillor Redmond?
I would agree with the conclusion.
Could you use the mic, please? Councillor? Thank you.
I would agree with the conclusion. We go for Auditor 1.
Just for the benefit of everyone, can you say that's the one where we've got them on site?
Yes, it is the higher price. Yes, we've got them on site here.
I think it's, sorry I'm speaking, but I would agree actually personally. Any other members wishing to speak? Councillor Wills, are you indicating?
Yeah, I agree. I think we need, with what we've been through, we need to know who's going to come into the office. I can't see how we can do it online.
We need a really clean, fresh start, don't we? Right, any other questions, comments, members? So it's been moved that we go with auditor number 1, and it's been seconded. All in favour? And again, unanimous, thank you. And I'm just going to take a point out here and thank Ryan, because in the short period of time he's been with us, he's really gone through an awful lot of work, and it really is appreciated because it is setting us on the right footing for moving forward in a very proactive manner. Right, moving on to agenda item number 8, the appointment to committees. 8A, to appoint a council to fill the existing vacancy on Human Resources Committee for the remainder of the municipal year.
Yes, I am not on the allotment committee.
No, we're speaking about the human resources for the moment.
No, but I'm just putting it on
Yeah.
the agenda item.
Right, we'll make a note of that one when we come to that. Right, members, we do have a vacancy on human resources. Does anyone wish to come forward? Councillor Heron, would you like to be considered?
On the second,
That's what I was going to do.
Thank you. It was either Councillor Heron or Councillor Smith. I don't know what we have there to second it. Any other members wish to put their names forward? No, shall we take a vote on that then, please? All in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, Councillor Heron. Moving to allotments. So, Councillor Abbott, you say you're not on allotments. So that one is listed 3 vacancies. Any members wishing to be a member of the allotments committee? Councillor McLaren? Any other members? We're still too short. Okay, well there will be 2 vacancies remaining. Will go. Right, Councillor Steve Smith is another one, so we've got, and Councillor Shackleton. Anyone else? Otherwise we've got a full complement. Do you want to take a vote on that, members, that we vote for the 3 members that have just been named? All in favour? Sorry, is someone proposing that? Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Councillor Blackwell proposing. I've got a second for that. Councillor Bolton. All in favour? Excellent. Thank you. And moving on to agenda item number 9, potential. Oh, apologies. We need to appoint a chairman of the allotments committee. So looking at that, you've got the names before you. Any nominations?
I propose Councillor Riddle.
Got a seconder? Anyone else wishing to go for chairman of the allotments? No. I'll go to a vote then that Councillor Riddles is made chairman of the allotments committee. All in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. I will learn to read my agenda. Moving on to agenda item number 9. Potential state ward by-election. So we're going to discuss that and the funding of polling cards in addition to the cost of the election. So again, I'll move on. It's self-explanatory, but if you want to speak at all, Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. There's no report to this. It is self-explanatory. I understand that you've looked at this issue several times in recent history around the additional cost of polling cards, which have been estimated if a by-election is called, which we don't yet know it will, but I have been asked by North Yorkshire Council to try and ascertain from members whether you would like polling cards in the event. So if there is a by-election, they are suggesting it would be around £4,000 for the election and an additional £1,800 for polling cards. So the polling cards is the discretionary element. So it's a simple choice really. Would you like them or not?
Any comments, members? Councillor Heron.
I move that we don't have polling cards.
Right. Were you seconding that motion, Councillor Barron? So we've got a motion on the table that we do not have polling cards. All in favour? Again? Did you get that? Against? Abstentions? Thank you, members.
Just one point before we can.
We have to take the vote, Councillor.
Well, that's the last agenda information.
Yeah.
But we always have highlights. That's 2. We did mention it last time, and it has been put on.
Normally at the end of our agendas, we do have the highlights for which we say how could be added. It is useful actually, and particularly the amount of visitors that we get
beds over 5 metres.
Yeah.
You won't be engaging.